My awakening story. I know a lot of people ask for me to share my awakening story or enlightenment story, and today I thought I would share this. Let me start by giving a little background history. I grew up in a very normal family, parents, little sister. Life was, I think, pretty average. Very rural, northern Minnesota area. And what's kind of rare, I would think, would be the fact that I wasn't exposed to any religion, wasn't brought up in any particular faith. In northern Minnesota, I found it was rather a private thing, so it wasn't really talked about that often. But I was always deeply curious about the world, what is really going on. And so I studied whatever seemed to be of interest. And even my high school papers were about paranormal subjects like psychics, ghosts, UFOs, whatever. And it wasn't until my late teens when I finally got exposed to some spirituality. Through a friend of mine, he lent me an autobiography of Yogi. That started a 13-year, sponge of sucking in anything of interest. I had studied chakras, various healing modalities, meditation, you name it, I probably studied it at some point. But curiously enough, I hadn't studied or read anything about non-duality or enlightenment awakening. I mean, even prior to my own awakening, if you ask me what is non-duality, not a clue. If you ask me what is awakening, not a clue. I heard mixed stories about what awakening was. I couldn't connect with it. It didn't make sense to me. It wasn't my experience. But after 13 years of study, it seemed like every new book that I read was something I had already read before, and through, I guess, just being tired of the search and now not finding anything new, I gave up. I quit reading books, videos, quit practicing, quit meditating, didn't do anything for probably a year or so. Then I kept bumping into the name Eckhart Tolle. Now, I've been avoiding the power now because I didn't like the title. But I kept bumping into the name suddenly. And I had learned that, synchronicities in life should kind of be paid attention to. If you keep bumping into something over and over again, you should probably delve into it a bit more. And so I went to the library, tried to see what they had available. I thought maybe a video, something I could just watch and be done with. And so there was a copy of The Flowering of Human Consciousness. Now, as I was watching the video, it seemed to be more stuff that I had heard before. He's talking about being present. Something I thought I knew, and I thought I was being present. But that is the problem, of course. I thought I was being present, which means I wasn't being present. I was thinking. Anyways, something that occurred to me later. But during the video, there was an exercise of inhabiting the body, feeling the body, basically becoming 100% devoted to the experience of now. And I became so present for the first time in my life. I'd never been really present. And I was so present that thought ceased. There was no thought. There was just the experience of now. And when that occurred, it was like a veil was lifted. Things fell into place. Illusions of the mind were seen through. Ignorance was dispelled. I realized that, I saw through the me in terms of I couldn't identify with the me anymore. This body, mind, ego, it was there, but it wasn't me kind of thing. I saw through kind of the world game. I recognized the origins of suffering, that we kind of do it to ourselves. And so it was an event where ignorance is dispelled. Now, when you really have ignorance dispelled, it doesn't come back. You're not fooled later. Once you see through the game doesn't fool you anymore. And so after this event, I found that thought, by and large, is gone. If I need thought, I can think. By and large, suffering, gone. It never came back. Except for some deeply programmed conditioning, which is like stored in the body almost. Or actually, it's not almost. It actually is kind of stored in the body. And the Indians would call this some scars, and they'll say even after awakening, some of this deeply conditioned stuff still sits, and it's just a habit, they'll call it, that replays. But I find if I just, when a conditioned response comes up, I'm just curious about it still, and so I look at it, and when I look at it, and I understand where it comes from, and I question the origin, because a lot of times once you see where it came from, you're like, that's dumb. When you tear out the root, so to speak, that conditioning goes away too. And so that's kind of been my spiritual awakening story in a nutshell. If you have any questions, though, feel free to post below, and I'll see what I can do. Thank you.